sure it is. We haven't.
Good evening and welcome to the June 19th, 2013 meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. First item on the agenda is request for continuance under determination of applicability. Wild Harbor Yacht Club, care of James Goodhue, 386 Wild Harbor Road, North Falmouth, for permission to install a post-supported roof on sonotubes over an existing crushed stone area. Jen.
Yes, Madam Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until, Mike, I'm sorry, I can't put my fingers on that right now. July 17th, thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the board? Any questions from the audience? Okay, motion on the table is a continuance to July 17th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Request for continuance under a notice of intent. Martha and Henry Lartigue, 165 Fay Road, for permission to remove invasive vegetation to restore approximately 10,700 square feet with native vegetation and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping.
Yes,
Jen.
Madam Chairman, the applicant had originally requested a continuance until the 26th of June, so that was staff's mistake the last time this was heard, that we continued it to this date, so we'd like to correct that and continue it to the 26th.
Oh, it was supposed to be the 26th.
It was supposed to be the
Okay.
26th.
Move to the 26th. Oops, sorry.
No, it's fine, go on.
No, move to the 26th.
Second.
Any questions on the board? Any questions from the audience? Okay, motion on the table is a continuance to June 26th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved.
Madam Chairman, one thing, Mike, your letter said the 10th, not the 17th, I'm sorry. Which date would you prefer for Wild Harbor? 17th, okay.
That's
I
the,
just saw your letter, it said 10.
that's the date you got.
Okay.
Michelle, got stuck in the traffic, didn't you?
I did.
123 Highland Avenue Realty Trust, care of Susan Newt, trustee, 123 Highland Avenue, lots 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 27, and Highland Avenue west of Arlington Street, North Falmouth, for permission to construct a duplex house with 2 dwelling units and maintaining 1 dwelling pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40B, with garage decks to connect to a town sewer and to construct a new water service to abutting residential lots along Highland Avenue and the duplex house, to construct gravel drive and parking area, gravel driveway on Glen Avenue, and associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen.
Yes, Madam Chairman, the applicant's representative are requesting a continuance until July 17th.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the board?
Yes.
Court.
How many is that?
That's one.
This is the first time we've heard this one. Somebody's phone is on.
It's buzzing.
Not me.
It's on vibrate. It's just very loud.
It's not mine.
It's not this one. It's okay.
Okay, there's a
Good.
motion on the table to continue this to July 17th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. If we didn't need you, Courtney, I'd send you out. Minutes, vote, March 27th.
It's both.
Madam Chair, I've read the minutes from March 27th and find them in order and move their adoption.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. June 5th. I thought we did June 5th last week.
We did, I
Cross,
believe.
okay.
June
I might
12th.
not have crossed it off.
Madam Chair, if you read the minutes of June 12th and find them substantially correct.
Second.
Second. I'll,
Courtney, do you have any comments?
no.
Okay. All in favor of accepting minutes of June 12th, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you, Susan. Your minutes cause us very little, we have to read them, but there are very few mistakes. Request for a determination of applicability. Salt area Salt Pond Area Bird Sanctuaries, Inc., off north end of 35 and 39 Gunning Point Road, map 3706-00000, Falmouth, Mass., for permission to remove, replace, and adjust existing stones to create a footpath along the waterfront. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, the staff has reviewed the project. We are recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions on the board? Any questions from the audience? Okay. Motion on the table is to accept staff's recommendation of a negative determination, which means that the applicants can go ahead with the project they proposed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Venice LeBlanc, off west end of Bayside Drive between 235 and 241 Edgewater Drive West, off the west end of Woodside Drive between 285 and 295 Edgewater Drive West, and off the east end of Jenkins Street between 362 and 374 Acapesket Road, East Falmouth, for permission to install 4 to 6 1-inch diameter PVC monitoring wells using a direct push track mounted rig near the shoreline.
Yes, Madam Chairman, the staff has reviewed the project, and we are recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource areas not confirmed.
So move.
Second.
Did you get that, Susan? 2 firsts and a second. Okay, there's a motion and a second on the table to accept staff's recommendation of a negative determination. Are there any questions on the board? Are there any questions from the audience? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Wild Harbor Yacht Club, care of James Goodhue, 386 Wild Harbor Road, North Falmouth, for permission to install a post-supported roof on sonotubes. Oh, okay, we've already continued this to July 17th.
You're all set, Dennis.
No, I'm just listening to conversation outside.
Madam Chairman, I need to run down to the office real quick. You can continue, and I'll be right back up.
Okay, could you ask whoever's out there?
I absolutely will ask whoever's out there to
Thank you.
lower their roof. How are you?
Requests for hearings under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are heard simultaneously under the authority of the of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. First one is James M. and Thomas S. Crane, 39 Juniper Road, Woods Hole, Massachusetts, for permission to install, construct, and maintain a Title V sewage disposal system, driveway retaining wall, fence, install a trench, grate, and leaching pit, utilities, native mitigation plantings, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Good evening, Joel. We haven't seen you for a
It
while.
has been a while.
Yep.
Joel Kubik, Holmes McGrath. You've seen this property recently. They came in front of you, I believe, just the end of last year to do some work on the cottage that's here. This is an old property, and it's got many structures on it and also many resource areas surrounding it. The ones that we're dealing with today for the installation of the new Title V system are mostly just coastal banks. Those are the closest areas that are affecting us. Of course, it's bordered by Great Harbor and Little Harbor out on the peninsula there. The existing house is serviced by a cesspool. They'd like to improve that by putting in a regulation Title V system to service the house. It's a large house, so it's a large system. Right now, they park down at the bottom of the hill and walk up into the house, and they'd like to put a paved driveway that accesses closer to the entrance to the house. There is a little bit of, obviously, the pavement is going to increase the impervious areas in the Zone B to the coastal bank there, so we're proposing some mitigation planting down on this. There's a large path that comes down here. There's another boathouse down the way there. And one tree that's going to be proposed because they're removing one near the cesspool there. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, now that Jen's back, we'll see if she has any questions.
None at this time, Madam Chairman.
Okay. Court,
No questions?
Michelle,
No questions.
Mario.
Maybe I missed this. I didn't see any staking for the proposed driveway. Was that my oversight, or would it?
There was a center line of the driveway staked. They were orange stakes, I believe. They were labeled proposed driveway.
Okay.
You know, coming right up through. It was maybe every
All right.
50 feet or so.
On the compensatory planting, do you think we can get a little bit more of a variety? You're proposing 3 bayberries, I think. Can we get, like, you know, can we do a bayberry and beach plum? And, you know, in other words, just a little more of a diversity there?
Mario, we can condition that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's all.
absolutely. I'll put that down right now.
Tom?
No questions, but a quick comment that the contractor that's going to be doing the work, my personal experiences over the last month with the pump chamber and all the rain we've had and preparing for a RUP being tested in that, I would really strongly suggest that your contractor follow your guidelines so the tanks do not receive sediment during installation.
We always request that and try and hope that they will follow that. It doesn't always happen, and it's a great point.
Yeah,
It makes
because it's
everyone's life easier, for sure.
It is, you know, I've been very intimate inside of a tank over the last 2 weeks. And it
not the
it
place
it
to
just,
A new tank.
a new tank, but, you know, it's just, you want to start off, as you know,
Yep.
with your clean water test, not having
water.
sediment. And with all the issues we've had with materials floating around and such, just
Absolutely.
a point. Thank you.
Is that going to be no question? Mike?
That retaining wall on the drive, it's largely fill?
There is some fill there, just, I mean, it's going off the slope there. So there will be a bit of fill and a retaining wall. There aren't any details for that. We didn't design that driveway or the retaining wall. That was done by a landscape architect, and at this time, there aren't any real details of that retaining wall.
How high is it going to be?
Shows 4
Maybe
feet.
2 or 3 feet, well, at this highest point, 4 feet. So they'd probably have to get a permit for it anyways, and a lot of you would look at any kind of structural work for
Okay.
that.
Jen, you might put that down
Yeah.
for a condition? That we see the
Structural,
cross-section.
yeah.
And my only question there is, do we need siltation control along that while it's being done? And by the way, it's a spectacular piece of property that is so
beautiful.
meticulously clean. I'm not worried about it, but
Right. They may have to put in some temporary, you know, measures down here. This is also an access for people that live down further. But there are other ways around. During construction of that, it would be wise for them to put in some kind of measures
Okay.
to control anything there.
no other questions?
Thank you.
You remember that when we come to
I will.
Tommy?
No questions, just a quick comment that it's nice to see an old piece of property like this where people have chosen over the years to leave the old growth and the well-vegetated coastal bank, and outstanding spot.
Some of the oldest trees I've seen in town.
It's
Yeah,
impressive.
good.
You don't see that very often where it's obstructing a view from a lawn.
Right.
Anything happens to that peach tree, somebody's going to die.
They're protecting it as well. It's really
Yeah.
Just to follow on from Tom's comments and then Mike's, maybe it would be good to condition in this that there's a pre-construction conference with staff and the contractor so that he's aware of our concerns.
Okay, Jen has it down. And my only question is, the cut and fill, do you know how much?
We didn't calculate it.
coming on?
Again, we didn't do the design there. That was all, you know, input from the landscape architect.
It's got to be.
I don't know for sure. Obviously, the septic system is going to be taking out, you know, a fair amount. But there probably will be a amount of fill that comes in there to do that slope. I don't know what it is offhand.
I would like to know what that is.
The cut and fill counts?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't see a reason to continue this for that, do you?
No, but it should be put in the,
Okay, so.
If you're gonna have an issue with what the cut and fill counts are,
I don't think I will, but I
okay,
just
so we'll
like to know.
condition it, and if something comes of it,
We can
I was
discuss
gonna
it.
move to close it,
Joel,
but
if
we
you
have an
can,
answer.
provide those prior to,
We'll figure that out.
as soon
when I
as
get it.
possible, that would be great, and you can just submit them, you don't have to wait for the order.
All right.
Okay.
I was gonna put a motion on the table to close the hearing and take it under advisement, but you need comments from the audience.
No, you can put a
Second.
motion on the table first.
Okay, well, the motion's on the table to close it.
Can I second?
Okay, there's a motion on the table to close this hearing and take it under advisement, and a second. Are there any other questions on the board? Any questions from the audience? There aren't any questions from the audience. Okay. Motion, second on the table to close this hearing and take it under advisement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved.
Thank you very much.
Joel.
Thank you, Joel.
You gonna tell us to have a good weekend? Like your colleague does?
He's not leaving yet,
Oh, you're staying? Oh,
but you just prompted him nicely.
There's multiple houses.
uh-oh, I lost my
Agenda?
here it is. Okay, continued request for a hearing under a notice of intent. Martha and Henry Lartigue, 167 Fay Road, is going to be next week. Right? Next week. Linda Spence, 97 Old Dock Road, West Falmouth, for permission to install a stainless steel removable davit at the end of the existing licensed stone pier to support an inflatable runabout. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, this was continued so that the applicant could properly notify abutters.
Good evening. We have done so. Mr. Agobian has the green cards here.
Okay, but you know what you didn't do?
I didn't introduce myself. And-
Well, you didn't introduce yourself. Introduce yourself first, and then I'll tell you what else you didn't do.
All right, my name is Luke Legere with McGregor and Associates. I'm here with Linda Spence and Robert Middlestat,
Right.
as well as Version Hagopian.
Good evening. And good evening, Luke.
Good evening.
And it wasn't you who didn't do it, but it was you who didn't do it. There was no, obviously, notification on the side of the road that this was a project that was coming before us, and there was nothing staked in the field.
When you stake a pier, it's all stone.
You stake the resource areas. And this was, I mean, I could go there, I've been to that site before, I live in that neighborhood, I know where it is. But there are several new people on the board, and if you didn't know where this was, you would be spending time going back and forth looking for notifications. And speaking of which, I know you do have your number on your house. Yeah, but it would be better to have it right by the, right by, it's not just you, we've seen this in other neighborhoods.
We're working on that.
Okay, good.
We can take those up here.
Right over here.
Thank you.
That is.
So, should we continue on this? It's a fairly straightforward project, but
I mean, they're supposed to stake it, I couldn't find it.
Madam Chair, I
I'm
did
the site
find it.
officer.
By the description of it, I found the street, walked down, looked at the area. I think it's fairly straightforward, as you say. I have no objections to moving forward.
I mean, we have heard,
yeah,
this
it's,
has been in front
yeah,
of
and
us before, so.
you've been there before, so,
And I had not.
all right?
Shall we proceed with presenting the project?
In the future, though, both, it should be, there should be a notification on the street, and resource areas should be staked.
Madam Chair, I would suggest that they do that in any event.
I mean, right now, after the fact.
After the fact,
Okay.
particularly if they want to get in order conditions.
Luke?
All right. This is a proposal to install 2 removable stainless steel davits to the end of an existing stone pier on my client's property. The davits will raise and lower my client's inflatable Zodiac runabout, and they'll allow Mr. Middlestat to safely board and disembark that boat from the security of the stone pier. They'll also serve to keep the boat up off of the bottom at low tide. So we see this as serving really 2 very important purposes. One, allowing my clients to safely access and disembark their boat. Secondly, protecting the natural environment by keeping that boat up off of the bottom at low tide. Mark Manganello of LEC has reviewed the notice of intent. He has visited the site. He concurs with Solutions Engineering's opinion that this proposal and the subsequent use of the boat that would be allowed by this proposal would have no impacts to the resource areas or the interests of the Act or the Falmouth Wetlands bylaw. As I mentioned, these are removable davits, so they would be removed in the fall, stored with the boat over winter, and then installed again in spring for the summer season. That's the big picture. I'll now let Mr. Hagopian give you the nuts and bolts of the installation and operation of those davits.
Okay, thanks. Sure.
Good evening. My name is Farujan Hagopian. I'm from Solution Engineering LLC in East Falmouth. This is really very straightforward, very simple project. And my apologies for not staking. If that's what they wish of the committee, we will do that. Here's the pier. It's a straightforward stone pier. This picture is taken at low tide. The 2 davits, it's literally 2 arms, look like this, stainless steel. They will be mounted at the outside edge, facing the water. And they are removable. They are about this high, stainless steel, and they got 2 ropes on them. Just you hook up on the floating dock, the boat, and then you just winch it up. It'll be above the water to stay there. You only lower it in the water to use it when there is sufficient water underneath it to be able to navigate it. No one in their right mind is going to lower that boat when there is not sufficient enough water in front of it. I went down there and I looked at the area. Most of the area immediately in front of the pier, there's a lot of stones, a lot of crushed stones, small stuff. So lowering the boat when there is not adequate water, it will immediately damage the boat, and that's the last time they would probably lower it. It's very simple. It's only going to be seasonal. The proponents are here usually about 2 to 3 months, June through September. Once they leave, the davits will come off and the boat will come off and will be stored underneath the building off the site. Installation, it does not require much. There is 2 tracks. Stainless steel goes right on the stone. 3 bolts gets drilled directly into the granite and gets epoxied in, and that's all it takes. It's about probably altogether on about 3 or 4 hour job to really install it. And taking it and putting it back together, all it is just a child can do it. It's a small 2 pins on each davit. Once you pop them out, the arms come in and you take them away. Any questions, I'll be happy to entertain and any specific questions you would like
Okay.
Virgin,
further.
how,
Yeah.
you sent me the information, but I can't think of it off my head. How high is that pier again? Remember I had
4
asked
yeah.
you?
4 feet 7 inches to the mud line.
Okay, so 4.
Not to the, there are a couple of boulders right underneath.
Yeah.
I didn't measure to that, just to the mud,
No, okay.
4 feet 7
And,
inches.
and this is just to lower the boat, so your tidal range in that area is about 3.5, 4 feet.
Yeah, the average tide.
Yeah.
Usually at extreme tide, in the spring tide, we have about 2-3 inches.
Over the,
Over the-
oh yeah,
over the
it's over the
stone.
town dock too,
Right.
and those really high tides.
Right.
Okay, and you're just gonna use this to lower it down? You're not going to lower somebody in it?
Well, you can. You see, Bob is physically challenged. He can literally step in, sit in it, and then release the line and lower himself onto the water. He can do that.
And this is to reach another boa out in the mooring field?
No,
No?
they don't have one.
Okay.
It's a small boat.
To
They like to go and putt
Run around West Falmouth Harbor? Yep, okay. And you're bolting these davits, you're bolting the system in? Not just epoxy, you're
there is-
bolting it to the
yeah,
concrete
there is
area. I
plates.
would imagine you would have
There
to.
is 2 rails
Yeah,
that's get permanently
No, I know,
bolted
yeah.
on top. And the davit gets with the pin hooked up
Yeah.
to it. Once you remove the arms,
yeah, all
see
you
is
have
just
is the thing.
two.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I don't have any. So 4.5 feet, okay.
You had that mean low and mean high, -1 and 2.7, so
Right.
3.7.
Yeah, about 3.5, 4
Right.
feet, yeah. Give or
Court-
take in that area.
Couple of questions. You applied previously for a similar project, and why don't you review for the board the salient differences between what you
Sure.
did before and what you've done here?
The first time we came in front of the board about a year ago, we filed for an RDA. The board felt at the time we couldn't do it through the RDA for some technical issues. Then they advised us we can seek to file an amendment to an existing NOI that we had at the time, that it was still open, which was the construction of the pier originally, which we completely did. Again, under that scenario, the board was split between yea and nay. There was a discussion went on for a reason I wasn't aware. There was a concern that there was an area, the area is a resource area, so they said they're going to deny it, and then they advised us to file a full notice of intent. So all of the issues will be addressed. Copies will be sent to the state and the wildlife management, all that, and we did that, and we already did receive a notice from the state.
Yeah, we got
there is-
that.
Right, so that is not an issue, and actually today they issued a project number. They sent me an
We
email.
saw that too.
Yeah. Natural Heritage jumped the gun, they didn't
So that
have
was
it.
really
Yeah.
the process. The board said, we will accept the condition saying that the boat cannot be lowered unless there is sufficient enough water. I guess it's a no-brainer that they are not going to lower the boat if there is no sufficient enough water, because if they do that, they will damage the boat. The boat is very small boat, fragile. It's a small outboard, and no one's going to put that boat in there if there's not enough water to float it. So it's a very simple
Version
operation.
you should see where I've seen people put boats.
I-
I understand what you're saying
yeah.
now, but,
And my other question is, your intent is that when it's out of the water, the boat is stored on the davits? Or
Yeah.
will you be removed from the davits?
During the season, during the 3 months that they are here, June, July, and August, the boat will be hung
hanging from the davit.
on the davits.
Okay.
But when the season is over and when they leave, the whole thing will come off the boat,
The davits
including
and
the arms.
boat and the
The-
whole
Right.
9 yards.
The
will be
arms will
stored
come off.
underneath the house.
I have no other questions.
Michelle?
No questions?
Mario?
So there's no chance at all that that boat could lay on the land under the
On the
ocean?
mud?
No way.
Well,
No way.
right.
That's the point of the davits.
Right, no, I agree with you. Yeah.
That's right off the mud.
There's an extensive oyster fishery in the area, so that
That's
was
the whole point.
just a
That's what
concern.
we're trying to do.
Yeah.
There are a couple of boulders right at the bottom. I wouldn't let that boat sit in the mud, right in the front toe of that pier. Guess what? When you mix both with rocks, rocks always win. So I think Bob is an experienced sailor. I think they the only one they're gonna use it. They don't have any kids. He's the only one gonna operate it. I have a trust in him, he's gonna do the right thing.
No further questions.
Do you feel at any point in the future that you'd want to have an electric motor on this? Or is this a system that 5 years from now will still function as you use it today?
You mean the Dallas?
The davits, would you, at any point, do you think that
Tom,
you'd have to?
if anyone from the audience is going to
Want us
answer,
to come up?
well,
Yeah, you need-
if you're going to answer, you have to come up and tell us who you are, even
Right.
though we know who you are.
You do?
Yes.
Well, I assume that you were Linda Spence, is that correct?
Yes, and this is my husband Bob.
Okay.
Go ahead, Linda.
So you're asking
Introduce
if 5
yourself,
years,
officially.
you're asking if you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
What?
You're asking in 5 years if the system would be motorized?
No, no. What I'm asking you, right today, it's going to function well for you, lowering yourself down. That has the potential for it. I'm trying to think ahead. After we issue, or if this is issued, a notice of intent and the project is complete, in the future, do you anticipate having to electrify the davits to have the operation of it? It's just something that I want to pose out there, because if it did, it would be an amendment to the existing order of conditions.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I would not see the need to electrify. I would see the need to
Motorize.
replace or refurbish the Dabas if they didn't work.
Yep.
But I don't think we've ever considered, first of all, I can't imagine the difficulty in dealing with an electrified system on salt water.
Yeah,
And
no,
and
it was
all the
just-
problems
yeah,
that
it
would
just-
ensue. It
think-
would be a nightmare.
Bob's just
The,
asking.
the simple idea is to simply let Bob get in the boat safely, to be able to use what is a 11-foot inflatable boat on the harbor,
Yep.
and to take it back and put it up. And the
I'm a-
idea
I'm-
was that this would not only benefit us, but certainly it should benefit your mission, which was to keep this boat off of any kind of mud or shellfish or anything else. If-
Tom is just asking so that you're aware of if there's any change
We
in
would
the
have to
system
come
that we're
back.
approving.
We'd have to come
Correct.
back.
I have
yeah.
no issue with the
I just can't
davits.
imagine wanting
Okay.
to do that. I mean,
I'm a form follows function guy.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to put that
that's
out
not
there.
on the plan, and I mean, I understand if we wanted to do that and this doesn't work, that we'd have to come back. But I think we'd look more maybe to replacing the existing system or making them replace it if it didn't work under a warranty than to ever electrify it.
Bob, right now, we have no electricity out there.
Yes.
If we
Yeah,
need,
it's like-
if it's a consideration in the future to do something like this, we definitely have to come back to the board and then ask a amendment or a change or,
That's a whole lot of expenditure for a little 11-foot rubber boat, for me. I mean,
Thank
the
you for
way I
your
look
answer.
at it, it's like, you know.
Thank you.
Mike?
I'm clarifying that the davits are sitting off the north end of that pier, is that correct?
yes, facing the
That's my
water.
only question. Net, the sketch isn't explicit, and I'm being sure that's it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Tommy?
I have no questions, though. I think I was the only member of the board about a year ago who voted for this to go through as an RDA, but now I'm happy that it's come before us with a plan that can be recorded with the deed. I have no questions. I think you guys will use it responsibly and not try to drive it out of there in 3 inches of water. So,
It would be foolhardy I mean, there's no way that you're gonna do that.
Okay, I have a couple of questions, but I have some comments first. And part of the reason we asked for a notice of intent is so we can evaluate the impact on resource areas. And also, we understand why you want to do this, but recognize that when we permit something, we permit something for an area, and for the particular people who are going to use it, you know, you may use it for a year, then you may sell it, and then somebody else may be, I mean, hopefully you're going to be using it for many more years. But anything that we permit, presumably, is gonna be on for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And so we have to look at what you're asking us and what effect it has on the environment. And so that's why some of the questions are asked. I have a little bit of a concern with how you want to use it. And this isn't a direct conservation issue, but you have an 11-foot boat? How much does that weigh?
300 pounds.
And how big a motor do you have on it?
That's including the motor.
Oh, that's including
Yeah.
the motor?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, because the davits
Yeah, it's
themselves have a
limited.
438-pound
480 pounds, the
Okay.
maximum usable load.
Okay,
Yeah, that's why we
okay, I just want to make sure
Right.
Yeah.
that this
He
would,
cannot get much over 150 pounds.
Yeah,
yeah,
he doesn't
basically,
weigh that
but
much.
he doesn't.
yeah. But that's why, I was just, I didn't know what size boat you
Right.
had, and I
No,
know,
it's a small Zodiac with a small motor.
yeah, and I've seen this, I mean,
It's
this
strictly
is
a
common,
putt-putt,
it's
I mean.
common to have davits like this on boats.
Right.
And I spent a lot of time in the Caribbean, and a lot of
Yeah.
yachts will have
The boat on
davits
the
like
back of
this.
the yacht. with a-
Right, but
yeah.
normally what their operation is to put it into the water and then to go along and then to
Right.
get into it from a ladder.
When we prepared the request, I really sat down with them and we explored about 10 different alternatives. We considered this because in our judgment, it was the easiest way to accommodate Bob's limitation to be able to get on the water and at the same time to create a minimum impact on the environment. Because you look at that entire coastal area, that shoreline, it's a very nice shoreline. We didn't want to mess around with it. We actually, under previous notice of intent, we made quite a bit of restoration for that shoreline. We eliminated the
Right, it does,
invasives
it
and all
was,
that
when I
stuff.
did visit the site, I looked to see that, and it's,
Yeah,
it
it's
looks
really-
good, it looks good.
It looks great.
That was
It
the
does look
only option that we can come up, that it satisfies most of the conditions.
I think I'd have to say that in terms of what I believe is your mission, this body, which is to take care and preserve this coastline and the shellfish beds and all of the natural sort of resources that surround our house and are in West Falmouth Harbor, that for Bob and me to use a boat in that area responsibly, this is probably the least impactful way that we can do that. And for me, it looks like a win-win, for me and for you. And so I can't think of any other way to look at that issue. We've talked about the town dock. It's not feasible. It's a really dangerous situation for Bob. And we could have a boat hanging off the end of our dock, which would be resting on mud flats at low tide. But this sort of resolves those issues, and I think it satisfies the needs of certainly our needs. And to me, it's a positive step for what I think are your objectives in preserving this harbor.
Yep, and I think we have sufficient, I'll check, but I think we have sufficient information to, wait a second, to move ahead. But we'll just see.
Yes, we have
if
another
any
question.
more questions.
Madam Chair, I move that we close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
Last chance for questions. Last chance for the audience. Joel doesn't have any questions? Any final statements? Okay, the motion is second on the table to close this hearing and take it under advisement. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Unanimous, so moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Luke, we haven't seen you for a long time.
I know, it's been too long. Good to see you all again. A lot of new faces since I was last.
Yes.
Yes, Luke, can you give me
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're here for, Joel. I do.
It's not a big deal. I think it was, I would have shot you an email or something.
Okay.
Just a question that
I
resolved.
just wanted to let you know I wasn't ignoring you, I was out of the office.
Did Tim give
Thanks
me,
again.
did Tim submit the map of where they were taken to the
Madam
file
Chairman,
for this one?
Tim did submit the map, I've seen it, I can't put my fingers on it right
But
now.
you've seen it.
I have, I know he submitted it, we've talked about it.
All right.
The office has it, if the office
don't want-
doesn't have it,
We don't want Joel to be in trouble.
I can get another copy.
Okay, Anastasios Perifestis, 65 Falmouth Heights Road,
Yes, we
Falmouth,
do need a phone for this.
for permission to dredge a 9,000 square foot area to a depth of 10 feet by removing approximately 300 cubic yards of material from Falmouth Inner Harbor for the benefit of 65 Falmouth Heights Road. The project includes the harvest and relocation of shellfish from the dredge area, dewatering the material on a barge, deposition into trucks, and transportation to another waterfront location for beach nourishment and to create a coastal dune.
Madam Chair, I'm going to recuse myself.
Okay?
Madam Chairman, your quorum on this is Mike, Betsy, Michelle, Courtney.
And I believe this was to do 3 more cores to check the sediment size, which apparently is still primarily sand,
Yep.
Yes,
and to do, but you did do a test on one of them?
Mercury analysis,
Okay.
yes, they did, Madam Chairman. All of that has been submitted.
Right.
and they found it to be within reason. The results were sent to DEP. They're happy with the analysis that was done. They feel that it's adequate for beach nourishment.
Okay. Good.
That's it.
That was pretty easy.
That was easy.
Then you'll,
I like these kind of hearings.
then you
Joel,
can,
maybe they'll send you more often.
All right, if that's what it
Yeah.
takes.
We don't nearly, pick on you or Tim
Yeah, I
or
need
Raul
to-
as much as we do your boss.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Motion to close and take under advisement.
Second.
okay, among the 4 of us, are there any other questions? Okay, all in favor of the motion on the table, which is to close this hearing and take it under advisement, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved.
Good night, Joel.
Thank you very much.
think
I
Have a good night.
I think I should have been on that.
I think so.
There were 2 hearings, though. Oh, do you have it?
Yes.
Oh, Tommy should have been on it, too?
Yep.
Well, you can
I
vote.
had Tommy's name, but I thought it looked like it was crossed off on my sheet.
No.
Joel, Tim always wishes us a
No?
good weekend, so
All
we'll
right,
wish
so
you a good
Tommy's on
weekend.
it too.
As well as a good evening.
Very nice.
Well, since you keep the records, Mike, you tell me what your scribbles mean.
I think it was Tommy, Mike, Betsy, Michelle. and Paul.
Wait, Tom.
Tommy,
okay.
Mike,
Tommy,
Betsy,
Mike,
Michelle,
Betsy,
and
Michelle,
Courtney. So you missed Tommy.
She said she thought it was crossed out.
I thought the first hearing with Tommy was crossed out. So I apologize, Tommy. You can be on this quorum too.
Michelle?
Don't want to be left out.
We
Who
won't be.
seconded? Someone
Mike.
got it? Mike.
Orders of conditions, Martin Murphy, 195 Great Bay Street, East Falmouth. Are we gonna do all of them, or
Yes,
just the
no,
ones for
we're doing the
tonight?
19th and the enforcement. Yes.
Okay? Martin Murphy, 195 Great Bay Street, we need to know who the quorum.
Okay, that is the third time somebody said that to me. Michelle, Susan, Betsy, it's like
I'm the
echoing the
chairman.
word
I'm
quorum in
allowed
my
to
head.
say that to you.
By the way.
Courtney.
Wait, what's the quorum?
I'm working on it.
Mario, do you want a reminder that we need the quorum?
Tommy, Mike, Tom, Betsy, Courtney.
Is that the quorum?
It was like an echo. It went bing, bing, bing. All right. And Michelle's not on. Great Bay, this was Jack Linder's Colley's project, a raise and rebuild in the same footprint. The house to be lifted and I believe with the 4-foot frost wall, is that correct, Tom?
I believe so, yes.
It seemed-
R-A-I-S-E.
Yeah, it seemed to be a pretty straightforward project, Madam Chairman. You wanted a limit of work put on the plan, so he will provide us with that. Tom, you wanted proper site maintenance, so we will do that. And the limit of work is just gonna be a silt fence with a mulch tube
Yep,
thing. We
perfect.
don't want the staked-in hay bales or
Yep.
straw bales in that area. They had a few of the plantings were changed to address some of the staff's concerns with a prior RDA that didn't follow through an admin review, excuse me, with their planting requirements, and they're proposing a few shrubs just to augment those trees that are there, so.
Yep.
Move to take the order as discussed.
Second?
Okay, there's a motion and a second to accept the order as read and discussed. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Gail Bambrick, 12 Circle Road, McCoy. This is also John Lander's calling. This is one that
This is
we
Jack.
worked hard on. The staff worked hard with the applicant and the engineer with suggestions from the commission. And the quorum is?
Quorum.
Courtney, Tommy, Mike, Betsy, Tom. What does that say? Yeah. 12 Circle Road, the only concerns the staff has, and will be conditioned as such, is when they're removing the material and regrading the area to make it appropriate to put the core fiber rolls in the plantings. They have a really difficult site, a really tight site to work in. Almost all of this work is gonna be done by hand. But they are able to have not extend, but rebuild the existing wooden deck. And they also added, if the board remembers, the staircase off to the
Left.
The west.
west, thank you, the west side of the bank, just so they can still access the little beach area
Yep.
that's there. The plantings have been changed to meet the staff's recommendations to the applicant, as well as the reconfiguration of the deck, and they've also extended those core fiber rolls underneath the existing dock to wrap around the property.
I stand corrected.
It's the east.
It's the
East.
east. I'm sorry.
It's on the plan.
I
Correctly.
know, I see it. I was just trying to spin myself around. Got it.
I'll move to accept the order as outlined and discussed.
Second.
Oh, one question, Mike, is there any special conditions that you want to put on? Because I know you still
For the
have some concerns on the sonotubes and the foundation.
When they move the things away from the house, I
Okay.
think most of those went away.
Okay.
They may have their own problems, but I don't think it's our problem.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah,
you
no, I
were
agree.
okay with that and
The-
didn't want to add any additional conditions, because it's something the staff hadn't thought about when we were looking at the
Yeah,
project.
no,
Okay.
This did, thank you for all the input that you had done with this applicant as well, because this is a huge leap forward from the first time we looked at it.
It is, they're gonna have a nice project out there when it's done, it just has to be done quite carefully
Yeah,
because of
actually-
that salt marsh.
Actually, I want to compliment the applicant because the applicant was very receptive to
The staff's
the
comments, she
staff's
was.
comments.
She really was.
Yep. I understand it.
We have a motion and
One
a second on the table?
Yes.
All in favor of approving what we just discussed, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Charles and Susan Moran, 402 Wild Harbor Road. This was the riprap.
Yeah, it was. I'm ignoring all of you right now, I'm writing notes, hang on.
Susan, that was funny.
Okay, Susan thought you guys were funny.
I think it was hilarious.
Tommy, Mike, Betsy, Tom, Court. I think you all are having fun. Don't you have a game to watch, Courtney?
I do, but it's not on yet.
Wild Harbor Road, the riprap, going in and constructing it as they back their way out of the property. They have, again, a tight site to work in, they have to do it by hand. If the board would like, I did discuss the
The
possibility.
planning's by hand, the riprap is by machine.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, but I did discuss the possibility of having because the project is going to
Environmental
take
monitor.
a while, an environmental monitor, to submit your weekly reports and photos on the property.
Yep.
And the representatives seemed very, agreeable to that condition
Yep,
on there.
I think you should, and also just to get a sense for how long a project like this will take and how it evolves over time.
Also, there's gonna be 2 separate site meetings with the staff, one with the contractor who's constructing the wall, and a second one with the landscape, professionals that are gonna be hired to replant that
Yep.
bank, because the board is concerned with that as well. Meeting, so with the contractors. And I also want, oh, I'm not done
I
yet.
have another.
And I also want a more detailed methodology on this Phragmites removal, because that seemed just, and Jack can provide that.
Yeah, I mean, he can use a method that we've already accepted,
Yeah.
but we need to know
Which
What it
method
what he's
that
choosing
is.
to do.
Right.
Yeah,
And also
they
the,
kind of just, I don't think it was the big part of their project, it was just kind of something they thought about when they were out there, so they didn't really provide a detailed methodology on how that will be done. So I'd like to see that, because there's a lot of other plant life around that area.
and this is also one where you would say, use environmentally friendly oil,
Yes, on,
and any
construction
equipment has to be stored,
in the upland.
in the upland
Yep.
overnight or on weekends or whenever they're not working.
It's just good site management is what it is. It ends up
Yeah.
being, you respond to, not trying to be dramatic, but you respond to weather conditions and site conditions. It's a very fluid thing when you're taking these things apart. And I've been fortunate that,
Yep.
I know what I'm looking at, but it can be very intimidating to others, and I'm glad that staff is gonna talk to the contractors prior to.
Yeah,
And you
both
make-
contractors.
You make a good point here, especially, when they're doing the replanting and stuff. If there are storms, the kind of storms we've had recently where we have these really heavy rains, that,
On it.
Jen, that should be taken into account with the landscapers ought to be prepared to put something down to prevent erosion if there are big jute matting or something, if there are big rains coming along. Just anticipate, because it's going to take a while. Okay, now Courtney,
Move that we accept the orders for this property as discussed.
Second.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. David Schnell, 232 Alder Lane, North Falmouth.
Yes, Madam Chairman, that is the one out on the point in North Falmouth. Oh,
Susan, yes, you
did.
said that.
She said the Q word.
Do we have the quorum?
Tommy wants to hear the quorum.
Tommy's legit not on this one. Mike, Betsy, Tom, and Courtney, unless Mike's notes are wrong again.
Okay.
I'm just blaming Mike over there.
Blame me, guy.
Schnell, raise and rebuild, planting, they're in the riverfront, they're gonna use the riverfront area, and do some of their plantings in the existing planting bed. They are removing a pine. The calculation that were presented on the, plan that, the last plan that you, saw were incorrect. They have submitted a new plan today with the correct calculations.
Thank you.
So that will be done, and the staff will make sure that the plantings are in the appropriate area. It was real quick, I got it late today, I just kind of,
Yeah, that's
Look.
fine.
other than that, I didn't really have any tremendous conditions with this. They were pretty much all addressed at the second hearing, any of the staff's concerns, which was using part of the removal of invasives and restoration as part of their mitigation, but we've already
Yep.
gone through that.
I have one note written on my plan, protect the septic area. I think they
Okay.
acknowledged that when they were doing it, just because it is gonna be so much activity there.
Well, I think it's already there. And
Right,
you
but
said
just a-
to have them make sure it's a
H20.
H20.
All the other
You
components.
may
that they-
see a new plan with this, because they did say this in the hearing, that you're going to, they may need to cut the corner of the house to address the homeowners association
That's right.
And I said that would get them into the right ballpark for the
concern.
mitigation planning.
So, they may come back and ask the staff to administratively approve the corner of the house
I think
being
we could, I think,
lobbed off
we
to
could-
meet to
we
address
could-
the concerns of the association. If it's something the staff's uncomfortable with, I'll let you know, but I'll be prepared to just deal with
Yeah,
that
we
on
can-
an
we can live
administrative
with that.
level for you. Okay.
Move to accept the order as discussed.
Second?
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous, so moved.
The only thing left, Madam Chairman, is the enforcement for
I
tonight.
have one other business.
Oh,
We want to tell people where we were on Monday.
I know, but can we deal with the enforcement first?
Yes, let's do
Okay.
that
Is there a
first.
quorum? You doing Molly next week?
Yes, we'll do the rest of them, and the enforcement is everybody that was here last week.
So not me.
No, that's you, my dear.
But you have to stay for the announcement.
Okay.
We're gonna issue 2 enforcement orders, one to the property owner, so that the property owner can protect their rights however they choose to use the enforcement order, and one to Mr. Bijan. He did call yesterday, he wants to get this started, he wants to have some closure to this issue. I did let him know that he was gonna have to wait until he received the order from us.
Will we be able to
Would
give
the
it to
board
them
like
tomorrow?
to see
We have it.
a formalized engineering plan? I'm looking at you while you're staring at me. Okay, so usually the board requires a formalized engineering plan with a formalized restoration plan. The staff's concern is this: they take that staircase out, they're going to have to do something to that slope to stabilize it. I'm not as concerned with erosion on the top part where the platform is, because if you see where they built the platform, they dug in and there's almost like a little lip. So that area, I'm not as concerned with. That absolutely has to be restored, but as far as erosion is concerned, I'm concerned with that bank.
I would like to see a plan, but
Okay.
before we get the plan, they can remove the staircase and begin the stabilization process.
All right,
I
the
think that's the most
stabilization
important.
process is gonna require, they're gonna have to jute mat that
Okay, well-
slope, and then come in with a planting plan for us. And how long would you like to give them, 30 days?
30 days.
Okay. They are gonna have to get permission, obviously, Mr. Bijan's gonna have to have permission from the property owner.
Right, and I think that should be explicitly stated in the enforcement order. Court,
Just a question. We do normally require engineering and restoration plans, and the question is, in this case, and the answer may be obvious, but I just think it needs to be discussed. What do we gain by requiring that, as opposed to just having it removed and the site restored?
Because they can do it under, basically, the staff would like to see this move under enforcement. I'm not file a notice of intent with the board, but file just the restoration plan, the staff can approve it and move them forward.
Yeah.
Unless you guys wanna
And
see it
quite
again.
honestly,
yeah, that's fine,
by-
that's
yeah.
fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, quite honestly, having a plan, particularly in this case, so I'm answering my own concern, particularly where there's a homeowner involved, and,
Easement.
yeah, and all that, by having a plan of record, it gives everybody a frame of reference.
Well, there are 2
going forward.
homeowners
Yeah,
that are involved.
So do you
And,
do want
I
to see
mean,
a plan?
yeah.
2
An engineered
homeowners
plan.
and easement.
And I think that plan should, note property bounds and
Okay,
that kind of thing, and it probably wouldn't hurt to have,
And
have that
resource
staked.
areas, because if
Yep.
they're gonna come back at some point, well, at any
yep, they'll
point
do
along there.
a site plan, a restoration plan and methodology. They'll have 30 days. They need permission from the property owner.
But they can remove
Yeah,
it as soon as they have permission,
Yes.
so remove immediately and stabilize.
right?
And that would be under the enforcement order.
Oh, everything's gonna be under the enforcement order,
And,
yeah.
and I would also, in the enforcement order, indicate that bounds are staked and marked.
And the stabilization will have to be signed off on by we'll have to go out and approve it.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, in terms of plantings and everything else.
No.
just the
no,
stabilization, jute matting,
stabilization.
how it's installed, things like that.
Yep.
Just a question, Janet, through the
Yes.
chair. Who actually is responsible for this? Is it Thornton or is it Bijan?
Technically, it's the property owner's responsible for all work on their property, so we're sending an enforcement order to the property owner and to Mr. Bijan. And the property owner
Property owner is
and
ultimately responsible.
and
Yes.
the other party can decide how they
But
want to
if-
move forward, but it's gonna be addressed.
Mario, if the person who did
Unfortunately,
it responds to it, then then that satisfies what the property owner's responsibility is.
they'll need permission
If
from
the
the
person
property owner,
chooses not to respond, then the property owner has a legal recourse.
I see, yeah.
which is why we are
Did
sending,
Mr. Thornton know that
Yes.
Bijan was doing this?
No.
no, he was unaware of
That's
it.
tough.
They came and saw it during a weekend, so last week when all of the attorneys were here, they were representing the property owners that are involved. There's basically almost 3 of them. There's the property owner, there's easement owners, there's the person that was doing the work, so there's 3 different individuals involved in this.
Nice chocolate mess.
So I'll move to adopt an enforcement order as
Yep.
discussed and presented.
Second.
Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. And the announcement is that Jen and I attended a press conference in Hyannis.
With the paparazzi.
Paparazzi,
Yeah.
film,
Nice.
Music,
sound,
Wow.
flowers, to accept, Jen and I accepted on the behalf of the town, the big check from Massachusetts Environmental Trust, because
Wow.
who is
our
funding
grant was
the
funded, so.
engineering of the lower dam on the Coonamessett River project that this board has been working on, so.
And I gave the big check to Julian, but he said we can have it back, so you can see it down in Jen's
It's
office
downstairs.
next week.
I put it on Teresa's desk. I thought she might get a
Oh,
kick
she
on it.
hasn't?
And then now it's up on the filing cabinets being displayed. Tom saw it.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I have an announcement. If anyone wants to join me, I am doing a 1.2 mile
Oh, I saw
swim
that.
for the Buzzards Bay Coalition as a fundraiser for the coalition. So if you are interested in swimming with me or you want to help sponsor my swim, I sent an email around so you can see that.
Good for
Everyone's
you. How
welcome.
long is it, the swim?
1.2 miles. Oh, just little.
I can answer you right now. Thank you for the invitation, but
No,
no, if the water's above 85, I'll consider
it
it.
definitely will not be.
All right, well,
When is it?
July 13th.
Okay.
It'll be at 72.
It'll be maybe.
okay.
And you're going from Marion to
It's from actually New Bedford to Fairhaven.
New Bedford to
Yeah.
Fairhaven, okay.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Did you see that? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Courtney, Tom?
She was trying to find form.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. The one other announcement for you guys is that we are gonna have, I do intend to honor our long-term member, but not on a brooms night. So I haven't even contacted him yet, but I will.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't go next week.
A wise
Huh?
man.
If it gets to 7 games, it'll be next.
I know, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna invite him, I'm gonna find out when he can come in July.
Well, it may be that it never gets, hopefully it doesn't.
You know what?
Oh, well, I know.
I believe you, Mike, it's all in law.
Yeah. No. This is all supposed to be a cross-out.
Go home and watch the game.
It was a mistake.
Last week.
Oh, my God.
Well, last week I watched the
wasn't here.
3
I
overtimes,
can't
so I
remember
got a
who was
full
here.
game in.
That's it. That's it.
Because I slept all.
Susan, yeah, we had to stand there with the state senators Betsy and I, we were so
2
nervous.
state
Betsy had-
senators, 5 representatives,
Oh,
and
yeah.
a secretary
They
of
know,
environment.
they knew we were nervous. I had to prompt Betsy because she almost forgot to thank the Massachusetts Environmental.
But you know who I didn't thank? I didn't thank any of the state agencies.
Good.
Hey, Jen,
What part?
did you see this?
Especially
What is that?
involved with this.
Hey, when are you gonna get it?